Hello everyone, welcome back. Moving towards the next part of the series of the diseases of dental pulp. So in this particular video, we are going to see about the reversible pulpitis. So pulpitis is nothing but the inflammation of pulp. Now we know itis is nothing but the inflammation. So inflammation of pulp is known as pulpitis. So now this pulpitis, it can be classified as reversible or irreversible, or it can also be classified as symptomatic, where the patient are saying about the various symptoms, or it can be asymptomatic pulpitis. So asymptomatic pulpitis, it is a chronic type of pulpitis. So that disease, it is like present in that particular patient from a very long period of time. So that is nothing but the chronic pulpitis. And symptomatic is acute type of pulpitis. So the time duration is less in the symptomatic pulpitis. Now this pulpitis, it can also be classified as partial or total, or it can be infected or sterile. Now over here, this is the anatomic picture of your tooth. So this is the enamel, dentine and pulp. Now if the pulp, so over here now you can see this is the normal pulp. So now if the normal pulp is having some noxious stimuli, so that can lead to the inflammation. So now over here, so the example for the noxious stimuli, there are many. So we have seen about the causes of the diseases of dental pulp in the last part of the video. So over here, so for example, the noxious stimuli is the caries. So now this caries, it can lead to reversible pulpitis. So your normal pulp, it turns into reversible pulpitis. Now reversible, as the name says, it can be reversed back to the normal pulp. But now if you're not treating this reversible pulpitis, so it will turn into irreversible pulpitis. So irreversible pulpitis is where you need to go for root canal treatment. Now this irreversible pulpitis, it can be of various scenarios. So this irreversible pulpitis, it can be a symptomatic and it can be a asymptomatic type of irreversible pulpitis. So the next two scenarios can be, so this irreversible pulpitis can be presented as chronic hyperplastic pulpitis, that is nothing but your pulp polyp, or it can also be like seen as internal resorption. So this is the scenario. Now this irreversible pulpitis, so if you're not treating this irreversible pulpitis also, so this irreversible pulpitis, it will turn into pulp necrosis, in which the pulp, it is necrosed. So this is like the sequence of your pulpal disease. So now the another symptom or another like disease of pulp, it can be where the pulp is having the calcific degeneration. So this can be because of the stimuli which is causing the degenerative pulpal changes. So that will lead to the calcific degeneration. And if the patient is having normal pulp, and if there is ischemia which is induced by the traumatic injury, so if the patient is having traumatic injury like fracture or anything, so that can also lead directly to your pulpal necrosis. So this is nothing but like a flow chart or the sequelae of the dental pulp disease. So starting with the first disease, that is the reversible pulpitis. Now in the subsequent videos, we are going to see about each and every disease that we have already discussed in that flow chart. So first disease, now as I said, there was this normal pulp. So if there is any noxious stimuli, so that will lead to the inflammation of the pulp, and that will lead to your reversible pulpitis. Now if you like, now as the name says reversible, so it can be reversed back to the normal pulp. So now if you're treating this reversible pulpitis at particular or proper time, so your pulp, it can get back to the normal situation. So the reversible pulpitis, it is defined as it is a mild to moderate inflammatory condition of the pulp. So now it is reversible because over here this is a mild to moderate inflammatory condition. Irreversible will be when it is a severe inflammatory condition in which you need to go for root canal treatment. So it is caused by the noxious stimuli. So over here now in this example, the noxious stimuli is your caries. Now this caries is like limited, is very limited to the enamel and somewhat to the dentine. So this is nothing but a case of irreversible pulpitis. Now if you see, this carious lesion is going till the pulp like this, so that will be nothing but your irreversible pulpitis. So now this like reversible pulpitis, it is caused by the noxious stimuli in which the pulp is capable of returning to the uninflamed state following the removal of the stimuli. So now over here, this is the stimuli that is causing the reversible pulpitis. Now if you treat this properly, so this is basically a class 1. So now you do the composite restoration. So now what you have done is you have removed the stimuli. So because of that, your pulp, it will return back to its normal position or normal like state. So that is nothing but your reversible pulpitis. Now what are the causes of reversible pulpitis? So the first cause can be trauma. So if the patient is having trauma, so this can be like because of various reasons, accidents during like playing sports or fight. So that can lead to the disease of the pulp. That will be nothing but your reversible pulpitis. But now in this, it is limited to the Ellis class 1 and 2, because now we know about the Ellis class 1 and 2. So 1 is when it is involving only the enamel, and 2 is when it is involving enamel and dentine. But now if it is 3, so that will be your irreversible pulpitis, because now in that the pulp is involved. The next cause can be your thermal shock. So when you are preparing the cavity, so at that time also your pulp, it can be injured. So that can lead to the reversible pulpitis. The next cause can be excessive dehydration of the cavity or irritation of the exposed dentine. So if you are preparing the cavity, so that can also be like you're dehydrating the cavity. So if you are doing the preparation, so now we know we have like the water spray when we are doing the preparation, so that your like the temperature change, it remains normal, and your cavity, it is not like excessively dehydrated, because that can like injure your pulp. Or if there is irritation of the exposed dentine, so now if there is abrasion, so in that case also, or there is atresion, so in that case you will see the dentine is exposed. So because of that, there is irritation to the dentine, so that can lead to reversible pulpitis. The next cause can be placement of a fresh amalgam filling in contact with the cast restoration. So now this is nothing but the galvanic shock. So when you are placing two like unlike or two dissimilar like metals towards each other, so that will lead to galvanic shock, and that is nothing but a reason of causing reversible pulpitis. The next can be the chemical stimuli, such as the person is eating too sweet or too sour, or when there is like cold, hot like food stuff, so at that time there is reversible pulpitis. And the next is the most common is your caries. So over here, you can see this is the insertion of the deep restoration, and that can lead to pulpitis. So these are like the various causes of reversible pulpitis. Now what are the symptoms of reversible pulpitis? So symptomatic reversible pulpitis, it is characterized by short, sharp pain which is lasting for a moment. So now this is a very important point. So the reversible pulpitis, in this the patient will say that yes, I am having pain, but now this pain, it will be short, sharp, and it is lasting only for some seconds. So now this pain, it is always specific to stimuli. So now if the patient is saying, if I am eating something too cold, or if I am eating something too hot, or if I am eating something too sour or sweet, so that time only I am having that pain. So that pain is always specified to a stimuli. So if the patient, he removes the stimuli themselves, so they'll say that I feel relieved when the stimulus is removed. So in this, the reversible pulpitis is always specific to stimuli. Now in this, pain, it is instantly relieved on the removal of the stimuli. As soon as you remove the stimuli, whichever or whatever is causing that pulpitis, so the pain, it is instantly relieved. So it is more often brought on by cold than hot and by cold air. So basically it's like most of the patient, they'll come saying that I feel pain when I am drinking cold water. So basically reversible pulpitis is more oftenly brought by eating or drinking something too cold. So it does not occur spontaneously, and it does not continue when the cause is removed. So this is the main like symptom, that it is not occurring spontaneously. So if the patient say that my pain like it occurs spontaneously, so that means it is a irreversible pulpitis and it is not a reversible pulpitis. So this is the major symptom, that the pain, it is not spontaneous and it does not continue when you're removing the stimuli. So the symptom is the pain is short, sharp, it is lasting only for a moment, and it is specified to some stimuli, and as soon as you are removing the stimuli, the pain also it is instantly relieved. Now, how are you going to diagnose the case of reversible pulpitis? So it is based on the study of symptoms and the clinical test. So application of cold is an excellent method of locating and diagnosing where exactly reversible pulpitis is located to, like which specific tooth, because now in this also we have seen in the symptoms that application of cold is the major symptom of reversible pulpitis. So as soon as the patient is coming to your clinic and they say that I feel pain while I'm eating something or drinking something cold, so what you can do is you can do the cold test. So first, like diagnosis method can be pain. So now as we have seen in the symptoms that the pain is of short duration and it is ceasing when the irritant is removed, and it is usually caused by cold, sweet, sour stimuli, and the pain it may become chronic if you are not treating it properly, and pain it is of short duration but it may continue for weeks or even months. So the pain is basically over here, it is like lasting for some seconds only, and as soon as you're removing the stimuli, the pain is also relieved. So that is the first diagnostic method, like depending on the symptom. The next will be the visual examination and the history. So when you are like visually examining the tooth, so you can see that there can be caries or there is traumatic occlusion or some undetected fracture that the patient has gone through some trauma. So you're going to take proper history to ask whether they have suffered from any trauma or not. The next diagnostic method can be radiograph. So you take the radiograph of the tooth and you'll see in that the PDL and the lamina dura, it is completely normal, because in this reversible pulpitis the pulp is not involved. So in this, the PDL and lamina dura, it will be completely normal, and in other words periapical tissue is normal. So periapically you won't see anything which is present. So over here this is the picture, like how exactly it looks. So over here this is the normal PDL space and lamina dura, and there are no peri-radicular like lesion which you can see. The next like diagnostic method can be, you can see about the depth of caries or the restoration which may be evident, showing that yes, it can be reversible pulpitis. The next like diagnostic method is the percussion test. So you are doing the percussion test, you are percussing the tooth and you are seeing, so that percussion it will show the negative response. So this is the major like thing. So if there is TOP positive, so in that case you have to see that the pulp is involved. So if it is negative, so in that case it is reversible pulpitis. So that means the tooth is normal to percussion and palpation and they are having no mobility. The next is the vitality test. So you're doing the vitality test with the help of electric pulp tester. So it will, like the pulp, it responds readily to the cold stimuli, and the electric pulp tester, it requires less current to cause the pain because it is reversible pulpitis. So this is how you're going to diagnose the reversible pulpitis. So now what you will see histopathologically. So the reversible pulpitis, it may range from hyperemia to mild to moderate inflammatory changes, which is limited to the area of the involved dentinal tubules. So now in the definition only we have seen that reversible pulpitis, it is a mild to moderate inflammatory changes, which we'll see in this. So it will show histopathologically, it will show that there will be increased blood volume of the pulp, then there will be edema of the tissue, then there will be white cell infiltration because now there is inflammation. So we know the first like cell of defense is your white cell. So there will be more and more white cells which you will see histopathologically, and there will be reparative dentine formation. So now if the stimulus is present, so what are basically tooth does as a defense mechanism? So what it will do is it will lead to the formation of the reparative dentine. So histopathologically you'll see there is the formation of the reparative dentine. So now how are you going to treat the reversible pulpitis? So the best treatment for reversible pulpitis is preventing only the reversible pulpitis. So prevention is, now we know prevention is better than cure. So what you can do is you can keep the patient on periodic follow-up. So you can do the periodic care to prevent only the development of caries. So you can ask the patient to visit the dentist every 3 to 6 months so that you are not developing only the caries in that patient. So that is nothing but prevention of it. So if now for example if the caries it has developed, so what you can do is you can do the early insertion of the filling if the cavity has developed. So basically over here, so this is the class 1 cavity. So what you can do is you can do the preparation and the filling of it as early as possible. The next treatment, like the prevention modality, can be the desensitization of the neck of the teeth where the gingival recession is there. Now over here you can see there is gingival recession. So now in gingival recession we know there is sensitivity because of the root exposure. So what you can do is you can desensitize that area. The next modality can be, you can use cavity varnish or the cement base before inserting the main filling material. So you can place the base or liner before placing your main material, that can be your amalgam or composite. The next is taking care properly when you're doing the cavity preparation and polishing. So whenever you're doing the polishing and the preparation of the cavity, so that time you should take proper care so that you're not causing any injury to the pulp. So these are the various recommended methods to prevent pulpitis. The next is removal of the noxious stimuli will usually bring back the pulp to its healthy state. So as soon as you're removing the noxious stimuli, your pulp, it will go back to its normal state. That can be cold, sweet, sour. So now in this, once the symptoms, it has subsided, so pulp vitality, it is done to see that the pulp necrosis, it hasn't occurred. So now if you see that the symptoms are not there, so if the patient say no, I'm not feeling pain, but still you need to do the pulp vitality just to check whether pulp necrosis is present or not. The next is when the pain, it does not subside even after removal of stimuli. So that means it is a irreversible pulpitis case and you are going to start with your root canal treatment. That is nothing but the pulp extirpation is to be done. So this is the treatment of the reversible pulpitis. So basic treatment is preventing it, and if the caries, it has occurred, so in that case you are going to treat it as early as possible. So the prognosis is favorable because now it is a reversible pulpitis in which the pulp, it will go back to its healthy state when the stimulus is removed, but now it is like limited when you are doing it as early as possible. But if you don't like diagnose it properly, or if the patient is not coming on time, so that will develop into irreversible pulpitis, which is when you need to go for your root canal treatment. So the prognosis is favorable in the case of reversible pulpitis. So that was all about reversible pulpitis that you should know and how you should diagnose and like treat it properly. Now in the next video we are going to see about the irreversible pulpitis and so on. So this was all about it. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much.